Hey there, I want to ask you something and I need you to be completely honest with me. Have you ever walked out of a meeting thinking I wish I'd said more or I should have challenged that, but you didn't because you didn't want to upset anyone? You chose nice over clear, and I'm going to tell you something, it cost you more than you realised. I'm Nicola, the People Mentor, and today we're discussing a topic that may make you a bit uncomfortable. But stick with me, because this could change how your team sees you as a leader. Most leaders I work with aren't struggling because they're mean or detached. It's actually the opposite. They care deeply. They want to be fair. They want to be the kind of leader their team trusts. So what do? They say yes to too many things. They avoid giving honest feedback. They tolerate behaviour that slowly chips away at team morale. They take on extra work to avoid conflict. And here's what no one tells you. Being kind doesn't always mean being nice, and being nice isn't always kind. When I started my business journey, I was exactly like this. I was the person who would rewrite emails 10 times to get the tone just right. I'd hold off giving feedback because they're going through a lot. I'd rather take on others' work than have difficult conversations about delegation. But you know what I discovered? People don't trust leaders who let things slide. They trust leaders who draw clear lines. Let me paint a picture for you. When you avoid difficult conversations, here's what's happening. Your best people are watching. When you don't address underperformance, your high performers notice. They start wondering why they're putting in extra effort when others coast by with the same positive treatment. The tragic irony, your top performers begin to question their value. Maybe excellence doesn't matter here, they think. And then they start looking elsewhere. Problems multiply. That small performance issue you avoided last month? It's now affecting 3 other team members and your biggest client project. I've seen leaders lose major contracts because they couldn't bring themselves to address one person's consistent lateness to client meetings. You become the dumping ground. Because you won't redistribute work or set boundaries, everything lands on your desk. You're working longer hours while your team underperforms. I learned this the hard way. I had a team member who consistently missed deadlines, and instead of addressing the issue, I quietly picked up the slack. Within 2 months, my best performer came to me and said, "I'm starting to wonder why I bother hitting deadlines when nothing happens if you don't." That was my wake-up call. Let me show you what this looks like in practice with real scenarios. Scenario 1, the constant phone calls. The overly nice response. You notice a team member taking extended personal calls during busy periods. Your internal dialogue goes, "Well, everyone has personal stuff going on. I don't want to seem unreasonable." So you do nothing and hope they'll figure it out on their own. But here's what kind leadership looks like. I've noticed you've had some lengthy personal calls during our busy periods. I understand that personal matters may arise, but when we have time-sensitive client work, I require your full attention. Can we discuss how to handle urgent personal calls during work hours? Scenario 2, the missing team member, overly nice. Employee fails to attend an important client presentation. You think, maybe I didn't make it clear enough that this was important. I don't want to be demanding. Your response, "No worries, these things happen." Kind leadership. "I'm concerned about what happened yesterday. We had discussed the client presentation. I sent a calendar invite and we talked about flexing your hours for childcare. When you didn't show, it put the team in a difficult position. Help me understand what went wrong so we can prevent this in future." See the difference? You're not being harsh, you're being professional. You're not being unreasonable. You're being transparent about standards. This is where my compass framework comes in. When you need to have a difficult conversation but want to maintain respect. C, calm preparation. Plan what you need to say beforehand. O, open with care. Start with your positive intent. M, message clearly. Be direct about the issue and impact. P, partnership approach. Ask for their perspective. A, agree on action. Define clear next steps together. S, support offered. Confirm how you'll help them succeed. S, schedule follow-up. Set a date to review progress. This isn't about becoming harsh, it's about becoming clear. I use this framework with my coaching clients. Combined with DISC assessments to understand what makes each team member tick. One client told me recently, "I can't thank you enough for taking care of me. You are my earth angel." This is what happens when you stop apologizing for having standards, when you learn to lead with both clarity and compassion. Here's what I want you to do. For the next 24 hours, just notice. When do you soften your message to avoid discomfort? What boundary could you set that would help your team? Which conversation are you avoiding that needs to happen? Don't try to fix everything at once. Just notice. Awareness is where change begins. Ask yourself this. Where in your leadership have you confused being liked with being respected? Just for a moment, imagine what would change if you chose respect over comfort. Even in one conversation, even in one decision. Your team doesn't need you to be perfect. They need you to be consistent, fair, and willing to have the conversations that matter. That's not being harsh. That's being a leader they can count on. If this has hit home but you don't know where to start, that's where I can help. I work with leaders like you to build confidence for tricky conversations and understand the communication patterns in your team. Drop me a message and let's see what's possible when you stop leading on eggshells. Remember, your team is waiting for this version of you, the one who cares enough to have the difficult conversations, the one who creates safety through consistency, not avoidance. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.